Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with a brand new week of the Cabral Concept Show. So excited to start a brand new week with you. Excited to hopefully provide a little bit of inspiration, just a little bit of motivation. But really what it takes is a rewiring of our mindset, a new way of framing our life, how we look at the world around us. Because if we look at the world differently, literally our world changes. And the reason why our world changes is because we are all trapped in our own reality. Hopefully that starts to make sense, right? We are literally one in our own reality. So the way that I view the world is radically different potentially than the way you view the world. And that's why two people can look at the same thing, same situation. One person's super stressed out by it, another person's not. It just doesn't react to them in the same way. But what I do want to share with you is that no matter where you are in your life, there are universally 7 principles that are always at work in our world. They are literally intertwined with physics. I want to go through those with you here today, but I don't want to apply them just in terms of mindset. I want you to think about them in terms of your specific goals, your specific purpose. So when I go through a lot of these Mindset and Motivation Mondays, my goal is to give you actionable data that you can then use in your own life to move further towards your goals. So when you're listening to these shows, I would love for you to have a goal. Whatever goal it might be in terms of your career, in terms of finances, it might be in terms of your relationships, your spirituality, your overall health and wellness. Maybe it has to do with body transformation. Whatever your goal is, I want you to think of that goal here today, but also in the framework of these 7 principles. Because I can tell you this, some people haven't achieved their goals yet because they haven't really worked at them. That's one. But that's not for most people. Most people have at least given it a shot, and it didn't work out for one reason or another. Sometimes it's commitment level. It just wasn't a strong enough why as to why you had to achieve it. Other times it's you simply didn't have the right blueprint, right? The right plan. That's the thing. I mean, almost no one is going to lose weight on their first diet or at least keep it off, get their first wellness plan perfectly correct, even do their first functional medicine detox perfectly. Like it's just, that's not how the world works. So you might have just not had enough attempts. And if that's you, if you've only given it 1 or 2 shots, I'm telling you right now, success is not a straight line. I mean, success is a jagged line all the way to the top. Now, the nice thing is you're continuing to move up. You move up the next time, you move up. Why? Because you're learning and you're growing. But also when you start to involve more of these 7 principles, which is just simply a rewiring of how we look at the world, you're going to get there so much faster. You really are. But when you get there, the interesting thing is you'll have known that you would have arrived either way, meaning like now or just a little bit later. And here's the funny part about it is that as you start to embrace these 7 principles, you're going to be happy before you even reach your goals. Too many people wait to be happy until they get that thing. Well, one of the secrets is the faster you become happy, the faster you start enjoying life, the faster that you get that thing. Because then eventually, whether you get the thing or not becomes inevitable. And when you don't feel this lack of that thing, well, that thing becomes attracted to you a whole lot faster. So let's start to get into this. So the first one is right where we just left off. So the first one is the law of attraction. Now, the law of attraction brings out all sorts of different feelings in people. Some people, especially the analytical type, they literally, they just, I can't listen to this. This is all made up. This is all woo-woo. I get it. Totally fine. But we can explain it in terms of physics as well. So the law of attraction is just literally 2 like vibrations coming together. That's literally it. Like vibrations are attracted to like vibrations. That which you vibrate with, you connect with. You'll oftentimes see in your own life, if you're having a really bad day, you wake up stressed, you might find that pretty much nothing goes your way that day, right? Why? Oh, you're stuck in traffic, there's an accident, you couldn't be late, but now there's this happening, there's that happening, everything that could go wrong went wrong. Well, when you're giving off those negative vibes, short for vibration, you're attracting more of that. You might say, well, I was in a good mood, but then this happened. Well, that we have to understand is there is also life. There's other people's vibrations. There is other people's dominant. There might be a more dominant vibration. You are also living in the greater world that there is. Now, there are some people though who say that, well, subconsciously, deeper down, this is really what you're attracting. And I think that's an important factor to look at, because if it's been years for you working on your goal and you still haven't achieved it, I do believe at that point, and you've tried at least a half a dozen to a dozen different things, at that point, you also want to work on the mental aspect of it. Meaning, what are the mental blocks from you actually healing? I've shared this before. Like, part of my healing process, the last couple of years of that, was allowing myself to be well, of letting go of my attachment with my dis-eases. I had to change who I was. I couldn't be known as the person who suffered from X, Y, and Z, right? I had to create a new healthy identity. So if you are struggling right now, I want you to think about that. What are you potentially attracting into your life? These are just questions for today, okay? But I want you to think about it in the grand scheme of things. The second universal law is the law of polarity. I love the law of polarity as well. This is one that I didn't learn right away. This was a little bit newer to me a few years back. And that's that the law of polarity means that, and this I looked at polarity in terms of the body, but it made perfect sense in terms of the, if there is day, there must be night. If there is hot, there must be cold. If there is joy, there must be sadness. If there is love, there must be hate. So when we look at the law of polarity, and that's, again, positive and negative electricity, like all of these different things, we have to understand is that in this universe, these are universal laws, right? Law of vibration is real, right? You can look at that with tuning forks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just type in law of vibration tuning forks, and you will find the examples of that, okay? So here's the thing. Law of polarity. We might say, why do I have to have any sadness in my life? Why do I have to have any of this? If we did not have the lows, we could not have the highs. So we have to understand in our life, now we don't want to attract or have these negative or bad things happen, but we have to understand that we would not have the appreciation and beauty of an amazing spring day, right? Or an amazing cool summer breeze at night. Any of these things, if we didn't have the opposite, we could not have the appreciation of them. We don't have the appreciation of life without death. Think about if there was no death, there'd be no appreciation of now. There'd be no appreciation of life. So there can be beauty even in the negative, although we don't necessarily want that. But hopefully we understand, though, that when we're in those hard times, we can also come out on the other side and be able to experience and hopefully have more gratitude and appreciate for those moments that we are then enjoying. The third universal law is the law of relativity. I'm sure you've heard the law of relativity somewhere in your physics-based days or science-based days at least. But in terms of the universal laws, what we're really talking about is that a little bit like the law of polarity, we don't know something until it's in relation to something else, right? So you might say, wow, that food was really hot, but hot in terms of what? Compared to what, right? If think about peppers. So I enjoy hot sauces, just kind of a light topic here. So I only can compare one hot sauce to another hot sauce or pepper. For example, if I'm eating those little pepperoncinis, not very hot. Might be hot to one of my daughters, but not very hot to me. For her, hotter than what? Well, maybe like a red pepper, right? Which is more sweet. For me, I'd say, wow, this pepper is hot, like a habanero pepper, but nowhere near as hot as like a ghost pepper, right? So like that is how we start to look at everything is relative. So how was your day today? Well, people say it could be worse. Yes, it could be worse because you've experienced worse. So what I like to share with people is, and I've talked about this, and you can check out the podcast on it if you'd like as well. But I have two main things that carry me through every single day of my life, no matter how hard the day is. And again, I don't want hard days either, but sometimes they come. So I have two ways that I look at it. One is with gratitude. I appreciate life. I appreciate the second chance I was essentially given after 17 years old. So I appreciate life. I'm grateful for these opportunities. I'm grateful for the people in my life. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my wife and my 2 daughters, my extended family, my friends, our community. I'm grateful to be able to do this podcast. I'm grateful, right? But also I have perspective. So gratitude and perspective. Perspective is relativity. Perspective that even when I have a hard day or a bad day, it could be worse. I've experienced worse. Is it as bad as that? No, it's not. Do I wish it was better? Sure. But tomorrow's a new day. And I say that to myself all the time as well. So please use that law of relativity. The fourth universal law is a law of cause and effect. This is a great one. Okay, let's say you set a goal for yourself. Your goal is to totally transform your health and your weight and your life overall. Okay, so I ask you, okay, your goal is to lose 30 pounds. You want to improve your blood pressure, cardiovascular. You want to improve your sleep. And that's what you say your goals are to me. And I say, fantastic, good. And then I ask you, well, what are you doing to achieve those? And you say, well, I go to the gym. And okay, how often do you go to the gym? How often do you exercise? Once a week or so. Okay. How often are you doing 10,000 steps a day? I don't know. I don't track. Okay. What time do you get to bed on a daily? Well, I don't have an exact bedtime. You have to understand the law of cause and effect is what you are putting in, you are getting out. Now, you might say, well, I don't like what I'm getting right now. Look at what you are putting in. Whatever your goal is, what are you putting in? That's what I ask people. And you have to be radically honest with yourself. And I want to do a podcast on this as well, because we like to talk ourselves out of things. We like to justify things. I do it as well. Like I love to justify all sorts of different things. But, if we're being honest, the truth is we don't always put in the effort needed in order to get what we're looking for. So this cause and effect often says you sometimes need to put in more in order to get more out. Really, really important to look at that. And if you're already putting more in terms of time and effort, okay, then all that means is you're not putting the right things in. So that can mean adjusting the exercise program, adjusting the supplements, adjusting the nutrition, adjusting the, recovery-based programs, whatever it is. But you need to do something. So if there's enough effort, then it's what the effort is applied to. If there's not enough effort, we need more effort if you want that particular effect. All right? The fifth universal law is the law of rhythm. I've learned a lot about this over the years. I really have. This one's a little bit more challenging to explain. However, the way that I found it most comprehensible is when you're in a flow state, everything seems to just go easier. Meaning like you get more work done, you're happier with your family life, your health is where you want it to be. And what I've learned is that you have to capture that. We all have a little bit of our own flow state that's somewhat unique to us. I've realized that although I would prefer to stay up later, if I get to bed before 10, it sets me up to have a better day the next day because I need to wake up naturally without an alarm clock. That's a lot of what I've realized. I have no fatigue, no energy issues, no circadian rhythm issues, no cortisol issues if I wake up naturally. The problem is, everybody has a schedule, right? I have a schedule to help get my girls ready in the morning. I have a schedule to get to work on time, right? I have a schedule just like most of us do. So what do I need to do? Well, I just know that I need X amount of hours of sleep. So I need to go to bed a little bit earlier. That's the only way it's going to work, right? So that's the rhythm. That starts my day. That's the flow. Then what do? Well, I start my day right away. I get into it. I don't stay sluggish. If I just kind of ease into the day, I get very sluggish. So what do? I just start my day. I just literally start my day. I get up, I brush my teeth, splash some water on my face, I take my dog for a walk. I come back. I help my girls get ready. Then I'm in the shower. I'm just going through the steps of the day. And then I get into my work. Then I have my lunch. Then I have my exercise. Like I have all the flow. And so that's why I'm big on scheduling. I've talked about this before, because once you find what works for you and you have a flow to your day, the day seems far less effort. Like you're putting in far less effort, right? Effortless almost. I do a lot in one day. I really do. I would say, well, there's downtime in terms of like my lunch. Yes. But that downtime enables me then to have what I call a second day, the second half of that day, which for me is back into meetings, recordings, interviews and other shows, and it's my workout, my exercise. So I need energy for that second half. So lunch is relaxing. It is going for a walk. It's getting some sunshine. It's breathing fresh air. It might be listening to binaural beats. It's a reset. And then I'm back for that next part of the day. That's what I found works for me. It may not work for you. Some people like to exercise at lunch, gives them that energy for that second half of the day. But what I'm saying is start to write down when you have a really good day. That's what I did. That's how I learned this. Here's what I do when I have a really good day. Oh, let's see if I can repeat that. Oh, well, lo and behold, there it is. Another good day, right? And so when you find that, you find your rhythm, which enables you to have more effortless energy without all the caffeine. All right, the sixth universal law is the law of gestation. I really like this one. And sometimes called the law of the feminine or law of masculine and feminine, sometimes called the law of gender, however you want to call it, think about it, totally up to you. But what it refers back to is really the yin and the yang. Now, I love Ayurvedic medicine. Like, you know that I'm all about Ayurvedic medicine. I think it's fantastic. But it's explained a little bit easier in traditional Chinese medicine. And that's simply because of the yin-yang symbol, also called yin-yang, but however you like to pronounce it. I like to stay in a Western-based version when talking about it. So all it means is hard and soft. That's all. Really, it's two different things. Yang, harder, masculine. Again, you don't have to call it masculine. Call it whatever you'd like. Yin, softer, feminine. That's all. And what it means, though, is when you're going more fight or flight, stress, alpha, whatever you want to call it, that's the yang. Too much fire, right? That is going to burn you out. Not enough and that can cause anxiety, all sorts of things. But also too much yin, soft, not pushing yourself can lead to sluggishness, depression, etc. So the goal in life is to combine the masculine and feminine, the yin and the yang, the hard and the soft. That is what you are aiming for in life. That's natural health. Natural health is balance. Not taking too much of something, not taking too little. We always talk about find your deficiencies, find your toxicities, bring up your deficiencies, not way up, bring them up to balanced. Find your toxicities, lower them to balance. That's the goal. And the last universal law is the law of perpetual transmutation, also called the law of eternal energy. So this goes back to, again, these are all physics. So this goes back to physics. And again, you can find the yin yang in the universe and all these different things. But energy, as they say, is neither created nor destroyed. It is moving from one area to another. In terms of our bodies, we can look at it as what are the things that bring in energy? Well, for me, it would be, again, I love teaching. It brings in energy. I feel great doing it, but I feel exhausted when I do, waiting in line at a store, sitting in traffic, like those, even though I'm not exhausting myself by doing anything, it takes out my energy because it causes frustration, right? So it's like, how I think about it for these universal laws, yes, you could think about it as energy is neither created nor destroyed. When you move on from this earth, your energy moves into, however you want to think about it, the universe in general, it moves into other humans, like however you want to think about it. But in terms of our goals, are we exhausting ourselves on the way in this life, on this journey of life, or are we bringing in energy in? Try to always bring in as much energy as you put out, right? So it's why I teach people. You can't do all hot saunas, cold plunges, hardcore workouts, 6 hours sleep, fasting for 22 hours a day. You can't do that. You're giving all your energy out. You can get away with it when you're 20s or early 30s. After that, after you do it for a while, you start to get worn down. You start to get run down. We can see it on your labs and you can feel it yourself, okay? So what I'm saying is you put out, you bring in. You want to exercise? Good. Then you have to eat good nutrition, right? The harder you exercise, the better your nutrition, the better your sleep has to be. That's the goal, but that's a good trade-off. The trade-off is you want to go hard in life. You want to give your all in life, but then also you have to bring that energy back into. For some people like me, it's going for a walk. It's, listening to something humorous. It's listening to binaural beats. It's hanging around with my daughters and at night and joking around with them and playing some cards and games and things like that after dinner. It's for me going to the gym, but not exhausting myself. I've had to learn to rein it in, to pull back a little bit. So what I'm saying is for each of us, it's individualized. Some people can push a little bit harder. I don't have that body type that's so robust that I can just, sleep for 5-6 hours a night and then go all day and work out really hard. It's just, my body's going to break down. That's not going to happen. So what I want you to do is realize your own uniqueness. And with your own uniqueness, then you can also decide is how much energy can I give out? How much energy can I take in or should I take in? And if you begin to follow these 7 universal laws, just a little bit more in your life. And you start to actually look at, okay, this is really how the world works and it's universal and it applies to all of us. I think that we're always going to be maybe just a little bit kinder, a little bit more gentler with how we look at the world and maybe even ourselves as well. And if we start to do that, we can realize okay, I've got to work a little bit in these areas. I'm doing pretty well in these areas. And if I just continue on this path of trying to improve myself, no matter what, I'm going to end up where I inevitably want to be. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. If the show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.